What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchet REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. So excited about this video. If you're new to us
And we new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, alright? Join the family without further ado. Let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
A lot of the US-European kerfuffle is friendly, and you find it in memes like "the European mind can't comprehend this," posted by Americans, featuring SUVs, highway junctions, or oversized meals and drinks. In return, we have the retaliation: "the American mind can't comprehend this," with a metric system, walls of public bathroom stalls that have gaps at the bottom, and garbage separation. Speaking of garbage, in case you missed it, 2 months ago, New York City introduced garbage bins. My European mind can't comprehend this. Of course, the American-European rub isn't a new thing. Georges Clemenceau, who was Prime Minister of France more than a century ago, said, "America is the only nation in history which miraculously has gone directly from barbarism to degeneration without the usual interval of civilization." According to the Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw, the 100% American is 99% idiot. And Winston Churchill allegedly said that Americans can always be trusted to do the right thing once all other possibilities have been exhausted. Americans haven't been any friendlier to Europeans. The American comedian Jackie Mason quipped that England is the only country in the world where the food is more dangerous than the sex. Bette Midler declared that when it's 3 o'clock in New York, it's still 1938 in London. The American author and journalist P.J. O'Rourke said that you can always reason with a German. You can always reason with a barnyard animal too, for all the good it does. All good fun. But we also have many Europeans who think Americans are just stupid to accept living in the conditions that they do. That judgment has become especially pronounced since the first Trump presidency. And I'm laughing at Trump supporters. People that stupid shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Let me tell y'all something.
I don't know, see, it's kind of go back on the ground. I was trying to say something, I saw that post. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, for majority of us, throughout generations. Okay, yes, whatever's going on in the White House does affect us. But at the end of the day, we have always pulled our shoes up by the bootstrap. So
yeah, 100%.
And did our own thing.
Our own thing, 100%. I would never look around the world and call a group of people stupid. I think more of a word of selfish or just entitled. You know, things of that nature. But I wouldn't dumb down a person. Never that. Nah.
Not at all.
Nah.
And I think the education system has done a great job of making sure that we don't even think about the rest of the world.
Yeah, and that's not even, well, I guess how you said it makes sense.
It's a great job.
A great job. And I don't want to.
Of censoring us. I'm not saying that that's okay. Y'all see our channel. World travel.
It's so bad that even if you try to pop the bubble, there's a bubble in there already. Waiting for the other bubble to get popped just so you can see that's another bubble. That's how low.
Right.
Okay.
Just think of us. Just us.
That's a quote from a young Dutch person. I can tell you from my own experience that among the Europeans I know, this attitude is extremely common. You don't have to take my word for it, because by the blessing that's YouTube, we have footage of a young American who asked Europeans what they think of Americans.
Are you also German?
Yes,
And in Germany, you feel like German people have a positive view of Americans? Or
not really.
No, okay, so more negative.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you feel that there's been a change at all in terms of how Americans are viewed, like in the last 10, 15 years?
I think so, yes. Especially due to the Trump and the Tea Party things happening. It got more polarized, and that made it more negative in my view.
But I would like to ask a question, like people that's outside of America, do you really throw that stereotypical blanket over all people without meeting them first?
Right.
Or do y'all just literally sit back, talk about us bad, and be like, that's what it is?
Right. I think a lot of times when I hear these comments from people and I ask them things like that, they'll say it's because of your administration. The administration
is old as old. It's old. We wasn't even born yet. I'm saying.
I mean, just because a person or a certain party is in office, regardless, that don't equate to the mindsets of every single citizen.
No, 100%.
Just like I'm sure that's the same for them.
And that's why I feel like it's just not, it's not. I don't feel like it's correct to label a person or group of people stupid.
Right.
Based off of what you see on TV or what you may know of a person, without having a real conversation with someone that can help you be more enlightened about the topic.
Right, and there is not a single person who knows every single thing about every single country,
I got somebody doing
culture,
somebody doing
people
somebody studying
in this world.
Nah,
No,
they don't, but they studying it.
I think it would just be the broad, the broad knowledge of it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there's people who don't even know our culture.
No,
I guess we're
100%.
Americans, but we're. I hate to bring this up, but we have a specific culture. Okay.
Let's look at it from this point of view. Some people can say they are very knowledgeable of the culture, but probably wouldn't place themselves amongst a certain group of people of the culture to really get the first-hand experience.
This is from before the recent US election, but I don't think the situation has much improved since. In return, many Americans likewise think Europeans are stupid to accept living in the conditions that they do. An opinion that seems to be mostly based on the economic superiority of the United States, or the higher income you can make in some professions, or the high taxes we pay in Europe. I encounter this attitude on Twitter all the time. The reason this makes me unhappy is that it presumes people in other countries must share our values. I've lived for some years in the United States, and I believe that Americans just have different values than Europeans. We each have a different idea of what makes for a good life, and it makes no sense that we try to impose our values on each other. Have a look at this podium discussion. Can you spot the American among the Swedes?
Right.
Somewhat more seriously, many Americans, for example, think of freedom as individual autonomy, guns being left alone by the government, and being able to say what they want without limitations. This is why they're skeptical of the idea to make health insurance mandatory, don't think much of social welfare programs, and constantly complain about censorship. They've grown up learning that if you want to be successful, you need to take risks. They've grown up learning that failure is a normal part of life and an opportunity to learn. They've grown up...
But I do believe that if you want to be successful, you got to take a risk. I feel like that's just law.
Right.
Unless you are being spoon-fed. I'm talking about everything is being given to you. If you look around, there is nothing around that doesn't work for what it needs.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly. And you'll never know if you succeed if you don't take a risk.
That baby lion won't eat if the mama lion don't go out there and hunt.
Exactly. Teach them how to hunt. Okay.
Or even teach them. But if you in there and they just throwing meat across the fence, and you get to eat every day, then hey.
Right.
Learning to value independence. Europeans, on the other hand, are more likely to associate freedom with social security. They want to be free to pursue their interests without having to worry about, say, being indebted for the rest of their life because they wanted to study physics, having to ask for donations to pay their cancer treatment, or getting shot at the mall. In Europe, we tend to see universal healthcare, tuition-free education, and unemployment benefits as the basis of individual liberty. We accept higher taxes and regulations as protections from systemic risks like poverty or illness, and most of us agree that one person's free speech ends when it endangers another person's safety or dignity. We've grown up learning that bad fortune can hit anyone. We've grown up learning that we're stronger together.
Preach.
We've grown up learning to think before acting. Yes, these are terrible stereotypes, and I apologize profoundly to all Americans and Europeans who feel misrepresented, which will be all of you, I guess, because I think we all have some sympathy for both perspectives, like just among you and I agree that our taxes are too high. But by my own experience, I think that on average, these stereotypes are largely true. I believe that our different values go back to our different historical trajectories. The USA was built by rebels who fled from tyranny. Then they ended up in the awkward situation of needing a government for people who don't different values go back to our different historical trajectories. The USA was built by rebels who fled from tyranny. Then they ended up in the awkward situation of needing a government for people who don't want to be governed. That's basically still the situation today. Europe, on the other hand,
well, when it comes to the historical part, I always have a problem with how it's being told, because that is one part of the 13 colonies. There were people here before, and there were people brought here. And because I am a descendant of the people who was brought here, I just always have a issue with how that story is told.
Right. If you're always going to give one perspective of one side of a story only, just to get people to understand it only, trust me, your chances is you could be more wrong than you are right.
Right.
Because without reading the rest or without understanding the other perspective, again, like math, there's always different ways to solve a problem. There's always different ways to understand a problem. So with the history, if you don't understand it from so many different perspectives, because there's so many different levels to it,
Right.
then you always going to kind of give like a base informative word that's not going to be clear as day.
Yeah. I feel like that's why earlier I was talking about we have a specific history, because not only are we African Americans, but we are also Louisiana Creoles.
See?
Right?
It goes deep.
Right. And the Louisiana Territory was not only owned by the Americans, it was owned by the French and the Spanish as well. So we
It
have
gets
those
deep.
histories as well. And so when people, and I know she's doing a great job at comparing Americans and Europeans, but no, this land was built on the backs of my people,
100%.
on stolen land.
On stolen land. And it gets deep. Preach.
had kings and monarchs for millennia, and then saw the emergence of a strong labor movement, which only grew stronger after the First and Second World War. This is why we have such strong labor unions, which prevent a lot of the financial exploitation that's possible in the United States. And these fundamental differences reflect in the way that we deal with business developments. Americans tend to think that Europe's overregulated and slow and too risk-averse. They're right. And Europeans tend to think that in the United States, rich people make the poor poorer by burning money in overly risky investments. They're also right. A good way to see how these cultural differences result in economic differences is this graph. It compares labor productivity in the EU with that in the US. You can see that the productivity per capita in the EU has grown far less in the past decades, and I understand that Americans are proud of their achievement. But if you dig into the details, the reason for the discrepancy is that Europeans on average work fewer hours. You can see this if you normalize this productivity by the number of hours worked. Then the curves look almost identical. What does this mean? I think it means that Europeans don't care a lot about the GPU. At least I don't. If an American comes to me boasting about how high the US GPT is, or how many billionaires are Americans, or how many big companies are owned by Americans, all I can say is, well, and what do you get out of it?
Oh, she killed that. Hey, I swear, I was just thinking about that, because a lot of times people can say these names, but they are not even a part of the conversation. They're just putting their input in there. They're nowhere in that type of bracket.
Right, like
That's
how
funny.
does it affect you?
What do you
Because
do?
right now a lot of things are affecting us. Okay. Shit.
The rich people even richer? If the answer is yes, that's fine with me and I respect that. But it's not a system that I would feel comfortable in, and I hope that you can respect that too. And that basically is the message of this video. I wish that we all had more respect for how people in other cultures choose to live their lives. Americans aren't stupid because they voted for Trump, and Europeans aren't stupid because they pay high taxes. We just do things differently.
Well,
I very much admire the American entrepreneurial spirit, their willingness to take risks, and their independence. But I also think it's good that we don't all do things the same way.
All right, y'all. So we're gonna start the video right there. Make sure you guys go check her channel out. Very informative, man. I feel like she really did. You know, she put a couple topics dead on the nail.
I don't think when I think of Europeans, I don't think of any one person from any country as stupid.
No,
I don't.
At all.
Because y'all have seen over the course of the last 3 or so years, we have built this channel by reacting to your culture all around the
100%.
world, not just Europeans, Africans, Asians, Polynesians, everywhere, right? We have reacted to it, and we have found things that we liked about the countries, and we found things that we didn't like. That was like, oh wait, hold up, y'all doing too much for us, But we don't demonize another person just because their culture is different from ours.
Correct.
Or their country is different from ours. Because from experience, we know whoever at the top, whoever's ruling the country for the time being, does not always reflect the people. Because for us, that is true. It's not reflecting us. Okay.
And on top of that, we don't even sip from that type of cup, demonizing people. Because if that was the case, this channel would be hate-based. Like, you would get a whole lot of negative feedback from us. And y'all can hear it. We're genuine, we're honest and authentic and transparent when it comes to these topics, because it's an understandable thing that people need to learn about. Instead of hearing it from one side that only feeds their ego or satisfaction. And at the end of the day, if it's one-sided like that, then you don't really get much of a conversation. You get more of a contradiction and conflict and things of that nature. So
yeah, just always remain students of life.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay,
That's a
just
heavy one.
remain a student of life and get to know people, especially people who are different from y'all.
That's it.
Okay, all right. We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon.
Peace.